Fannie Lou Hamer, This Little Light of Mine, by Barbara Diamond. Introduction. Fannie Lou Hamer was an unusual and a brave woman. In the 1960s and 1970s, she fought for the rights of people in Mississippi and around the world. She fought for people to be able to vote. She fought for people to be educated. She fought so people would have adequate medical care, food, housing, and clothing. Many times, Fannie Lou stood up for these rights, even though she was beaten, fired from her job, and forced out of her home. Her husband, Pap, and her 2 daughters stood by her in all her struggles. Fannie Lou told stories about what happened to her and her family when she tried to register to vote for the first time. She told stories about what happened to her and her friends after they tried to have breakfast and used the bathroom in a segregated bus station in Mississippi. When she spoke at the 1964 Democratic National Convention, it was shown on national television. Fannie Lou touched the hearts of people all around the country. Fannie Lou showed what one person could accomplish in the struggle for freedom and justice. Chapter 1. A Sharecropper's Childhood. Fannie Lou was born on October 6, 1917, in Montgomery County, Mississippi. She was the 20th child born to Luella and Jim Townsend. Her family were sharecroppers. They worked in the cotton fields from can see to can't see, which meant from sunup to sundown. The land belonged to the plantation owner who took half their crop. That's why Fannie Lou's family were called sharecroppers. They had to share their crop. Slavery had ended over 50 years before Fannie Lou was born, yet her life and the lives of other sharecroppers in Mississippi were not much better than the slaves' lives had been. Sharecroppers still picked cotton, as the slaves had done. They were still poor and had poor living conditions. They had very little education and not much of a chance to improve their lives. They bought all their supplies from the plantation store and paid for them out of their share of the crop. They were often charged too much and were cheated at the store. If they complained, they risked losing their jobs and income. Since they were often in debt to the store and the plantation owner, they could not afford to leave the plantation. Sharecroppers, including Fannie Lou and her family, usually slept on a cotton sack stuffed with dry grass. Their home was a shack papered with tar. Even though they worked on the land, they were often hungry. Even though they grew cotton, they often could not afford to buy new cotton clothes. Fannie Lou often told a story about how the plantation boss tricked her into picking cotton at an early age. When she was only 6 years old, he promised her treats from his store. Her family could rarely afford to buy her treats. She would have to pick 30 pounds of cotton in 1 week to get the treats. Then this often hungry little girl could have sardines, cheese, and a gingerbread cookie. Even though she had a limp from the time she had polio, she managed to pick the 30 pounds. From then on, little Fannie Lou picked cotton for long hours with her family. She didn't realize until she was older how this boss had tricked her. Of course, she never got those treats for picking cotton again. The next week, she was given a bigger sack. She picked 60 pounds, but she didn't get any treats. When she was a teenager, picking 200 to 400 pounds of cotton every day, she was paid $1 for her labor. Sharecroppers' children went to school from December to March because there was no planting or picking during those months. Schools were segregated in the South. This meant that African American children went to separate schools from white children. Also, their schools were usually poorly equipped. Fannie Lou loved school. She was very good at spelling and reciting poetry. When Fannie Lou was 12 years old, she had to stop going to school, even during those few months. Her family had managed to save some money because there were 22 members of her family working in the cotton fields. Also, her parents worked extra jobs. Her mother did laundry for the plantation owner's family. Her father served as a Baptist minister. They saved enough money to move off the plantation. With the money
Sample complete. Ready to continue?